Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. It is day 9. Most importantly, it is eviction day. The first eviction of the season is finally upon us after a very slow campaign season, to say the least.
Very slow.
I think Keisha might think that there's another week or something until the eviction, just based on how long it has taken her to get the ball rolling on some of this.
Yeah, and because of that, I think we all kind of know how it's going to go, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, we'll take you through some of what did transpire overnight. I mean, some stuff did happen, and we'll also kind of talk about some other weird odds and ends from the house, what Nicole A is thinking, why is there an attempted showmance being set up, and so much more. But before we do, if you guys like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and support us further by checking those links in the description to the store and also our Patreon. Thank you to everyone who has supported us over there so far.
Okay, so does Keisha really have a chance of staying in the house? And the answer is really no. And it's true, anything can happen, but man, it would really take a miracle for something to turn around. But there are differences in the campaign that's kind of going around, but not as much from Keisha, but a little more from Janelle, which is what I said last night, that it was really going to take Janelle either going out there and doing a little campaigning for her or trying to finesse her into doing some campaigning maybe with Janelle, that they would go together to people to kind of, just put out the case. Why should she stay?
This is super weird to me because it seemed like Janelle and Kaysar, by the way, it just feels like he's being a ghost at the moment. I don't even know what KAYSAR'S doing, but
good for you, Kaysar. Stay low, man.
He is staying low, but Janelle seemed to be kind of like understanding and accepting of the vote situation, that it was what it was. But then it was like last night it was suddenly like, oh, I need to try to campaign again. I need to try to save Keisha. This is just isn't going to get you anywhere, Janelle.
No, this is not a good move. And I understand that she really wants to keep Keisha, and there's always a chance, but there really isn't a chance here. Like, Janelle already smoothed things as much as she's able to with Kevin to kind of be like, hey, everything's going to be all right and we'll work it out kind of thing. And then she goes and does this, and it sets her up in a really weird spot with Kevin for next week when he finds out about this.
You know what this reminds me of? It feels a lot like when you were a kid and you go to your parents and you're like, can we have pizza tonight? And they're like, oh, we'll see. And then you take away from that, oh, we're having pizza tonight, because Janelle, she's gone to conversations into people like Davon, and Davon won't really say no to the idea of keeping Keisha. And so because of this, Janelle will then be like, all right, this is one of my numbers to keep Keisha. It's like, that's not actually what you're being told, Janelle.
Yeah, and Janelle has played this game enough times to know that when people are being kind of sketchy, it's because the opposite is happening. So if you're going to Davon being like, hey, what about Keisha? And she's like, then the answer is no. Like, it's not even like, is Davon really thinking about it? No, she's not. The answer is no, and you know it, Janelle. And I know Janelle's really desperate right now to keep Keisha, and you will believe anything in this house. So you get what you want from a conversation, even if it's not right.
I just wonder, and this has been on my mind a lot, is Janelle actually aware that Keisha is still going? Is she just trying to do some sort of last-ditch effort? I just wonder how much Janelle really actually buys into what she is saying, or if she's just trying to spin something at the last second.
Well, here's another sort of like interesting little twist in here, is that Christmas wants to campaign for Keisha too. She likes her. And, but Cody has persuaded her not to. So it's not that nobody wants Keisha to stay. There are people that like her and want her to stay. But Cody seems to really kind of have a stranglehold on what's going on this other side of the house. And so, I mean, that could have been an ally right there if we had Christmas and Kaysar and Janelle all kind of pushing with Keisha to try to maybe grab a couple other people. But that blob alliance is too big.
The other problem here, of course, is Keisha herself, where we have talked a lot about things that Janelle has done in this video. You know what we have not talked about? What Keisha has actually done other than have little conversations. And we've really even gone over already in these videos pretty much everything that Keisha has accomplished. The fact that we're doing this video, and it's basically 12 hours since we last did one, and there's really no actual new update on anything that Keisha has said or done. It's the night before Eviction. That says a lot.
Yeah, the person who's doing something is Janelle. So, I mean, this whole thing with Keisha has been pretty disappointing. We've all waited for her to come back for a really long time. She's back. She's, should be really fired up to stay. There was enough time to turn it around, I feel. And she just, I don't know what happened.
I don't know if it's just that she wasn't accustomed to the speed of this particular season. I don't know if it's just that she didn't think that was going to be an effective campaign strategy. It's really weird that we're in this spot right now on an all-star season where you have someone who's going to be the first person evicted, and it just feels like they, I don't want to say accepted their fate, but they never really tried that hard to change it.
Yeah, which, like I said, I have the disappoint with that. That was, I didn't expect it. I feel surprised.
Yeah, I feel legitimately surprised for that. I feel kind of surprised that this first week has gone the way that it's gone. I mean, we'll talk more about the potential next HOH and everything else later today, but it has been a very strange first week of this game, seeing things go the way that it goes, especially with Janelle, where she doesn't have the support that she either thinks that she does or she's trying to persuade others that she does. And it does sort of lead to this interesting question at this point where are people sort of intentionally setting up Janelle now where she's either going to be clowned on eviction night when she realizes that no one is really on that side, or are people just trying their best to sort of isolate her and make her think before the next HOH that she doesn't have any support at all?
Yeah, I don't think people are intentionally trying to clown her. There's no real game benefit from that, especially in the first week and so close to the next HOH to make her feel that way, where then it's just going to motivate her to win that HOH. And we already know that she can win stuff. So add that plus that, she's going to end up being the HOH. So yeah, you guys want to clown her, go ahead, because then it's going to turn into a Janelle HOH. But I honestly just don't think that's happening. I think people just don't really want to share information with her because they're not working with her. So they're just being really sketchy about it without wanting to set her up for a fall, and it's turning into this.
Yeah, like, she will probably know everything for sure by tonight. She might be upset about it. It's hard to really know, but before we move off of the subject of the eviction, I'll just say this, is that I am always on team drama. I think that's probably clear at this point. There is that part of me that, of course, because I want Janelle to still have some element of numbers, I don't think that her and Kaysar being sort of isolated is going to be good for any of us. But I think at the same time, even if Keisha stayed, like, what is Keisha really contributing to that side at this point? It's better in my mind almost that she just goes, Janelle and Kaysar realize further how isolated they are and that they just have to try to pivot because Keisha's not going to save them in the game.
Yeah, I mean, she might be a vote for them, but it just, I don't know what's going on this season with Keisha, but it does feel like she's, I don't know, she's not here to be able to play.
Yeah, this is where it is. Let's
move on to Bayleigh, and it looks like Bayleigh is going to be maybe informing Janelle of the vote right before the eviction.
Bayleigh is doing a decent job right now. Like, I think we can feel pretty good about where Bayleigh is in the game, and I feel like she's not necessarily in that big blob group of, Cody and Enzo and Nicole F and Danny and like that people. But she's tied to Davon, and Davon's close with a lot of those people.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a really good move for Bayleigh because she has said that she likes Janelle and she wouldn't mind working with Janelle. And so just giving that little bit of a hey, heads up so you don't get clowned of what's going to be happening. I'm going to let you know what's happening so you're on the same page as everybody. You're welcome. And then when Janelle becomes HOH next time, she'll remember that from Bayleigh, and Bayleigh will not be a target. It's a small thing that can go a long way.
Bayleigh's done a good job with the social game with Janelle this week, and
Yep.
you never know what's going to happen given the next HOH. I don't think she would have been a target of Janelle's anyway, but it doesn't hurt. But speaking of things that hurt, let's talk about what's hurting my heart at the moment, and that is the Nicole A, Kevin, lack of awareness of what is happening here. So Nicole A basically walks in on Tyler, Cody, Nicole F, and Danny overnight, and she tells Kevin about this, that, this may have been an alliance meeting. Great, you figured this out. But then, you guys still seem to think that there is, like, an even bigger imaginary blob alliance that somehow includes Janelle or Kaysar, and that you can't trust them. It's like they see some of the light, but then they sort of make up all the rest of it, and they eclipse the own light that they see.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're right about walking in on them and they're in an alliance. They are. And she's not wrong about there being a bigger alliance. There is. It's just, I don't know why she keeps thinking that Janelle's part of this alliance, considering that Janelle has put a lot of time into Nicole Anthony and hasn't betrayed her, but Nicole Anthony has betrayed Janelle, and I don't get, what are you doing? It has been an extremely frustrating season as someone who really likes Nicole Anthony, and I was excited to see her come into this season. This has been really frustrating, and it may just be that, she has a bit of a lack of self-confidence, and she's in with a lot of players, and it's very overwhelming. It's a very different type of season. Maybe she's still trying to get her footing, and hopefully she will get there.
I think it's just, I don't know if it's Janelle's personality where Janelle is so, intense and, in your face at times, and she will go and campaign. Maybe this is just so old school because everyone is so tentative now. They're just like, I don't know. We may have to go with the house. And Janelle is just, putting herself out there for somebody who is almost certainly going.
Yeah, there are very different ways of playing between the old school and new school, and I knew it had changed, but this is it's a very sort of stark comparison of let's all vote with the house. And then the old school's being like, why aren't we playing?
I really wish Dr. Will was in there at this very moment because I just want to see Dr. Will deal with some of these jokers.
Yeah.
And just have a little bit of fun, sort of showing them the way and the light.
So let's talk about Memphis a little bit here. So Danny told Cody that she thinks that Memphis thinks that he's running things and that he's, quote, trying to be Dan. And I mentioned something similar, I think it was in our last video or 2 videos ago, about Memphis. And it wasn't that he's trying to be Dan, but that he doesn't want to look like he's under Dan's sort of shadow, that he played his own game on his season too. And if Dan wasn't there, he still would have played that same sort of game, and that he's trying to prove that he doesn't need Dan. He's his own guy, and he was part of that duo in a way that it wasn't just Dan running everything. And because of that, it feels like he's trying to do a lot of stuff, but not putting enough substance into it, like creating this huge blob alliance and kicking people out and putting people in, but then not sharing any actual information with anyone and actually growing it to be stronger.
It feels like Memphis is, we do a little bit of gardening. We're trying to figure out how to do some of this. We're not always amazing at it, but it feels like he is sort of the gardener who he just puts the seeds in, but he doesn't actually know how to make the plant sprout and be healthy and actually grow. He thinks that
kind of like me and my lavender.
Okay, we're trying with this lavender, guys.
I have killed 3 lavender plants already. I cannot get it to grow.
We do not.
I am Memphis. I can plant the seeds, it'll start to grow, and it'll die.
You're at least trying to figure it out. I don't know if Memphis is trying to Memphis just like, if it grows, it grows. And like, he thinks that that's enough. It's not enough, Memphis. And I think it is going to get him in trouble eventually. It's just, right now, maybe not. But Danny and Cody, they had this conversation really, really late overnight. And they talked about that. They talked about how Janelle may be linking Cody and Nicole F, and Cody's trying to like play it cool. Like, I think he's probably not thrilled with it, but ultimately, you gotta know you're playing the game with smart people, and if you're seen with somebody all the time, they're gonna link you up.
Yeah, Cody can't be surprised at this, like, honestly. He's with her all the time, and I mean, Janelle wasn't even with Kaysar all the time, and they just linked them up. So, I mean, if you're actually going to be spending that much time with Nicole F, then yes, people are going to think that you're with Nicole F.
Yeah, it's inevitable with the game. It's like people see Nicole F in the end. They draw assumptions from that. Look at Enzo.
Yeah, Enzo with that read yesterday. Nicole F's just basically just brushing her teeth and taking her makeup off, and he just a quick second look, and he knew. Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah, this is why you picked Enzo to win this season. Enzo is very, very perceptive on stuff.
Okay, so Cody's in an interesting spot because he has a few sort of like, he's acting like he's got a, final two deal with Danny, with Nicole F, with Enzo, and he's acting that way with them, that these are his, final two, we're going to go to the end together. And while that makes him in a good spot right now, this is the same game that Tyler played, and it really burned him in the end because he ended up at the end with so many people that he was in this, it's you and me to the end. Yeah, it's you and me to the end. Oh man, I'm at the end with all these people, and now I have to vote and show my hand, and that burned him. So is this going to end up burning Cody? He's going to have to make a choice before he ends up in that situation at the end. He's got to find a way to get other people to cut some of these people.
It's really, really interesting how Tyler is on this season, and yet we're barely talking about Tyler as a strategist or anything else, and I think that's good. Despite entering this game as one of the biggest targets, Tyler, I think, has done fairly well for himself. And
I think so, too.
Cody has sort of become the new Tyler, where Cody has all these allegiances, and I think it's good for his game maybe for the next month or so that he's going to be pretty well protected. But like you said, if these people really feel like he trusts them, or they trust him, and if he cuts Nicole F, for example, maybe at Final 4 or Final 5, don't you think Nicole F is going to be upset about that? She's gotten upset about a lot of things that aren't as significant as that.
Yeah, Cody would need to get other people to do that stuff for him, and I don't know if he can.
I don't know, and that's going to be one of the interesting points in this season. No matter if Janelle goes soon, goes later, we lose a lot of our favorites. There's always intrigue in Big Brother. Mm-hmm. We'll close this off, though, with something that's not really that intriguing at all. It just seems like ridiculous, and that is Danny and Nicole F seem to be interested in setting up David and Davon as this sort of showmance, but here's the thing. It seems like they're kind of acting as though David is interested. I have not heard David once say that he is interested. Maybe it happened at a time when I wasn't watching that feed. Maybe it happened off the feeds. I just don't actually think that it happened, and I don't think Davon's even into it anyway.
Yeah, from what I've seen, they just seem like they're fine. I don't see any sparks there. They don't dislike each other, but it doesn't feel like there's a showmance coming, and I'm kind of wondering if Danny and Nicole F are just kind of like, listen, Davon's in a really sweet spot. Everybody loves her. America loves her. The house loves her. We got to get her into a showmance, because a showmance is a downfall of a lot of people, and it can really gum up someone's game. So let's get her into the showmance, and that way, we can go pretty far with her, but then if she's in a showmance, that'll end her game before she gets any further, because there's no real showmances that were going to spark off, and I was so happy about it, and guys, stop it! Give me a showmance-free season!
No showmance! We know what's gonna happen. Don't give Grodner permission to waste like 10 minutes on upcoming episodes on people cuddling and talking. No, please don't do it. We're already sad enough that we're probably gonna lose Janelle and Kaysar very, very soon on this season. No,
I just don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe I've missed something as well, some spark that I haven't seen, but I just haven't seen it. They just seem like they're, fine. They're like everybody else in the house. Like there's nothing happening there, I think. But please don't get together after the show. If you guys want to get together, cool. I don't want to watch people cuddling either. I'm not into it.
No, we're good. And now we are done with this morning update. But we'll be back later. We'll preview the eviction specifically, any last-second campaigns. We'll talk about who could be HOH, who the targets could be. But what do you want to see happen today on Big Brother 22? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and support us further. Check those links in the description to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.